All systems nominal.
Hey, welcome back to going to the International Space Station. This is where we left off because I did keep the file this time. And we have aligned our orbital planes with the International Space Station, but as you have probably noticed, we're not docked. And that's because we're still not close to the International Space Station. The International Space Station is at 368.1 kilometers altitude, and we are at less than that, 191.4. So it's about twice as high as we are, which is kind of stunning if you think about it, but it's not that hard to get a little bit higher. Um, so next thing we need to do is get up that high, and that is done with this thing called Sync Orbit. Target by name, ISS. There we go, just to show you that it is possible without the computer freaking out. So here you have the green line is again my orbit, and the yellow is the International Space Station's orbit. That tends to be the case in orbiter. The green is you, and yellow is your target. Um, Same with here, pretty much everywhere. I'll let you know if there's a place where it's not, and I'll probably point it out. Um, so right now there's no intersection. Our orbit is completely all around lower than the International Space Station's orbit. So let's change that. How to change that is we need to raise our apogee. And we do that by going faster. And so if we go faster, our apogee will raise, and maybe it will get above that of the International Space Station. And when that happens, something cool will happen, and I'll point that out too. Um, Probably something overwhelming is probably the best word for it. Bam. So all this information shows up. What does this mean? Well, this is everything you ever wanted to know about sinking in orbit, but but was too afraid to ask. Um, Here is the distance between me and the International Space Station is about 300 kilometers. Our relative velocity about 300 meters per second, and the dt minimum, which is the difference in time minimum for the reference. And the reference is intersect 1, which means it's the very first intersection from where we are. It can also be intersect 2. My ship, periapsis, see, that's what got me confused last time. Perigee is lowest point, periapsis is something else. My ship apoapsis, which I'm not sure, it probably has something to do with the relative orbits of of the International Space Station and me. I'm again not sure. The target periapsis and the target apoapsis, I'm probably pronouncing these wrong, and manual axis, which you can change by these R and R minus and R plus buttons. But I want target 1, or intersect 1. And over here on the right, you have the different times for the ship, which is me, and the target, which is, in this case, the International Space Station, to this reference point, which is time to reference, or time on reference. So it's about 2,000 seconds for each. And this yellow line, the yellow numbers indicate which numbers are the closest together, and this dt min, which is difference in time minimum again, tells you how far apart they are. As you can see here on the map, map MFD, sorry, and something caught in my throat, I am behind the International Space Station in my orbit. But I'm also lower, which means I'm going faster. And so anytime my orbit is lower than that of the International Space Station, I will be going faster. And anytime I'm above, I will be going slower, in general. So, since I am lower, then that means I will reach this point before the International Space Station because I will catch up to it. And you can see that here, this intersect is beneath this, so I can't intersect on the first orbit. So I'm going to increase my speed, And you can see right there the...
Retro doors
Oh,
are closed.
oops. You can see the yellow line went up here, and so now the ship time on target is above this, and it's above it by less than a second. And what this orbit thing means, is that we will have to pass this point first, and then the next time we enter it, we'll be together. And it goes up to 4 orbits away. Generally, I mean, that's a long time, 23,000 seconds. So generally you want it to be close, because I'm impatient. So, yep, I've already done it. So I've overshot a little bit by 1 second, and so I want to reverse a little bit.
APU offline.
But I can't open the retro doors, so I can't activate the retro rockets, and that's because the APU is offline. So I'll turn that on. And retro doors open, and turn it back off. So there we go. So just fiddling with the retro doors, or retro rockets, and we got it down to 0.03 seconds. Down here is also tells you your relative inclination, which we have just fixed in the previous video with the aligned planes. So we're 0.01, so it's close together. We're going to intersect very close to the time. So now, let's speed up. I'm going to slow down really quick for right here. You can see we have just passed the time until, or we have just passed the intersection point, and so we have moved up to orbit 0. The International Space Station is still at orbit 1, but in a few seconds it will move up as well. So it doesn't have to be on the same orbit for these numbers to be closest together. Sometimes this will happen. You will have orbit 0 lit up yellow, and your target will be orbit 4. And that's just in extreme cases, but it'll probably happen to me. So going forward, I have resumed real time right here, because as you can see, our horizon is about to intersect with what amounts to the sun's horizon, which means we will have sunrise. So I'm just going to watch this in real time from this perspective first, and later I will show you what it looks like against the ship, because obviously since the sun is behind the ship, we'll mostly just have a silhouette. It looks kind of cool on the other way if you're facing towards the ship, but again, I'll show you that later. So there we go, beautiful sunrise at some ridiculous altitude of 400 kilometers. So now I'll speed up again. Getting closer together. Right here you see the distance. I'm actually going to slow down again. The distance is going down. Relative velocity is 0.5 kilometer a second. And I'm going to switch over to ComNav. Oh, huh. So this shows you what your navigation receivers are set to, what man, my brain can't think today, what signal they're listening at. And right here you can see the XPDR ISS is getting 1 bar of signal, and the XPDR is a really powerful transmitter, sort of like a VOR on the ground, and it just kind of tells anything that here I am, but you can't use it to dock. It's just there, and it has a range of about 500. I thought it was about 500 kilometers, but we are 600 kilometers away and getting signal. You can see these values for the ship by going to Object Info, Vessel, ISS. Tells you all the orbital information. Down here, the IDS docking ports. So we are going to dock at 13740, which is dock 1. I normally dock at dock 3, but dock 1's good. So it's already set, and the IDS, which is ID signal, identification signal, has a range of about 100 kilometers. So let's fast forward until we get to 100 kilometers. And you can see we just passed over and we got a signal. So IDS, and that is where I'm going to stop this video when we have signal from the IDS. And yeah, so see you next time.